Hello there, everybody. This is Mel Allen. Pennant talk continues to mount as rivals meet face to face. The league leaders face up to their slumps. The Red Sox face Milwaukee's surprising Brew Crew. The Dodgers and Giants adopt the old faces of rivalry. The Cardinals can't save face against the Cubs. The Padres finally put on a winning face. And faces like Eddie Matthews emerge from baseball's past. Headlines and highlights, past and present, coming up next on This Week in Baseball. Brought to you by Gillette. When it comes to personal grooming, most people come to Gillette, makers of Atra. Atra says yes to the impossible shave.
Impossible?
America's waking up to the impossible shave, Gillette Atra. The first razor with a head that pivots to follow every contour of your face. For closeness with comfort you never thought possible.
Impossible.
This Atra face-hugging action keeps twin blades at the perfect angle.
Such closeness with so much comfort, it's impossible!
Gillette Atra. Yes, the impossible shave is here.
Well, choke is not in my vocabulary. A slump is. I've seen ball players go into slumps, and the minute somebody goes into a slump, if a guy goes in a slump and you're on a second division ball club, you never hear the word choke. But the minute you're fighting for a pennant and a guy goes into a slump, or a team goes into the slump, the team choked. I think that's ridiculous.
No, the Red Sox are not choking. People don't realize that the Red Sox did something phenomenal in baseball that no one has done for a very long time. In their first 70 ball games, they won 51. I remember the last time they came to Yankee Stadium, they were 50-19. And they went up in their ballpark. I remember at one time that they were 33-5. And that, you know, is something that, you know, you really can't expect the ball club to go on and continue to do that. When you have a ball club that counts so much on offense, your ball players are going to have slumps. That is the game of baseball. And if the Boston Red Sox, to me, I don't want to give them any help or any shot in the arm, the Boston Red Sox are not choking. They're getting outplayed right now, just like they outplayed everybody in baseball the first 3 or 4 months of the season.
For Bob Lemon's New York Yankees and the rest of the American League East, the recent slump of the division-leading Boston Red Sox brought hope. The Yankees, once trailing by 14 games, had cut it down to 6.5 as they took on the Red Sox, with hope of gaining still more ground. In the first game, it appeared they would do just that, as they took a quick 5-0 lead. Was Boston thinking about that word choke?
The word choke? Yeah, the word choke is in my vocabulary when you catch somebody around the neck and choke them.
You can tell when a team's choking. They look nervous, you know. They just lose their aggressiveness. They've become pretty passive. They don't say much. But that's not the atmosphere of this club.
Nobody's going to choke on this ball club. If we don't play well, it's because we're just not producing. It's not because anybody's choking.
No thing is choke. You know, you can easily go out there and you're not playing aggressive ball. That's not choking. But when the guys just walk off the field and give up, that's choking. To me, that's, they just don't want to play.
Anytime that you're in a slump like we're in, sometimes it's better off taking a few pitches and getting the walk. But you have to go with your game. Our game is to swing the bat, and that's the way we have to come back and come out of it, by swinging the bat.
But Boston actually came out of the slump by taking a few pitches before swinging the bat. Reliever Rich Gossage forced in 2 runs with bases-loaded walks, helping Don Zimmer's crew push a 5-5 tie into extra innings. Dick Drago preserved the tie with some clutch pitching in the bottom of the 14th. It was not only late in the game, but late enough on the clock to force a suspension till the next evening. Rick Burleson's bat 21 hours later, and in the 17th inning, made the difference. Boston was ready to start swinging those big bats again. Jim Rice cut loose in the game that followed, and so did the Red Sox lineup. By the time Rice, Fred, Lynn, and company were finished, New York was reeling from an 8-1 clobbering. Suddenly, there was no more talk about anybody choking. In Milwaukee, everyone is still head over heels about the Brewers' surprising turn of fortune. 154,000 fans, the largest attendance for a 3-game set this season, watched the Brewers see what they could do about cutting down the Boston lead. They succeeded in their first game against Boston with help from slugger Larry Heisel. Both Heisel and teammate Gorman Thomas used that series to tie Jim Rice for the American League lead in home runs with 25. Despite the crowd's exuberance, Boston resumed its power revival. For Jerry Ramey, however, revival may not be the right word, as he hit his first homer of the season, but others were also hit by Dwight Evans and Carl Yastrzemski. Boston bats were back, and so was the pitching prowess of Louis Tiant, who won his first game since June 24th, a 4-0 shutout for Boston's second victory in the 3-game series. Although the Red Sox reasserted themselves, the feeling persists in many Eastern Division ballparks that August and September can still be mighty interesting. The Yankees took on Baltimore, and both teams went after each other with plenty of pennant fervor. And after the umpires, too. Far be it from Oriole manager Earl Weaver to be left speechless during an Eastern Division race. New York's Ron Guidry's kept most hitters speechless, but Doug DeCinces spoiled a 1-0 shutout with this prodigious clout. It's going, and it is gone. For DeCinces, it was homer number 19, giving the Orioles a tough 2-1 victory and the Yankees their 3rd straight loss. But the Yankees fought back by winning their next 2 from the Birds, starting with the victory on Roy White's clutch 9th-inning double. However it all turns out, the next few weeks promise to tell a whole lot about the race. If you don't believe it, ask the managers.
Every game is important now. We play Boston, then we play Baltimore, and then we play Milwaukee, so they're all important. We're all right there together.
Every game right now is a big game. I think we got 58 games to play, and naturally in the next 2 weeks, we got Milwaukee, we got Baltimore, and we got the Yankees, and Detroit, and I think you'll see something drastically happen in the American League East in the next 3 weeks.
Herbie, I asked for twin blade Gillette Good News disposable razor. I get a single blade disposable, not a Gillette. Herbie, that one blade can't deliver the close shaves this two-blade good news can't.
Great shave, boss.
Of course, and lots of them. Herbie, always get me a good news disposable. Otherwise, we make Herbie's job disposable.
Gillette Good News. It's one blade better.
The bullpen. How did it get its name? It may have come from the bull and the tobacco signs which were on the outfield fences in the 1900s. Relief pitchers warmed up behind those signs, so the area became known as the bullpen. Today, it's the home of relief aces. In the American League, Boston's Bill Campbell. And in the National League, San Diego's Raleigh Fingers. Be sure to see them this summer as they compete for the Rolaids Relief Man Awards, given annually to the best in the bullpen.
As you know, records are made to be broken, but in the National League, Pittsburgh slugger Willie Stargell just smashed one he won't brag about, making Mantle's career mark of 1,710 strikeouts. Philadelphia's Dick Ruthven caught Stargell for the record breaker, but Willie didn't hang his head. As he said, after all, I had to swing the bat to do it, although he didn't swing it on this strike. Now, how about not swinging the bat? Who holds the record for most walks in a career? Well, Volkswagen will have the answer later. Elsewhere in the league, one of the game's great rivalries continued in Chicago between the Cubs and St. Louis Cardinals. This has certainly not been a Cardinal year. For St. Louis, winning just hasn't been in the cards, not on the scorecard nor on the field. Worse still, against the rival Cubs, these cards have seemed to play without a full deck. Even when presented with a Cardinal opportunity due to a Cubs slip-up, fortune has turned her back on St. Louis. Imagine this. The Cubs beat the Cardinals 3 times, giving them 12 victories in the 12 games played this season. That's kept Chicago in the Eastern Division race and St. Louis out of it. This rivalry stems from the proximity of Chicago fans to St. Louis fans, much like baseball's best-known rivalry, which dates back to New York and the Giants and Dodgers. It peaked at the Polo Grounds in 1951, the miracle of Coogan's Bluff. The Giants had picked up 13.5 games from mid-August to tie Brooklyn, setting up this scene in the final playoff game. Bottom of the 9th. Dodgers leading 4-2, 2 on, Ralph Branca pitching to Bobby Thompson. Here's the actual narration of Giants broadcaster Russ Hodges. Bobby Thompson's famed shot heard around the world robbed the Dodgers of a pennant. The two clubs have returned that favor many times, even after both left New York City for California. In 1959, the Giants lost a pennant they thought they'd won, but got one back from the Dodgers in 1962 in the final days of the season. It's been a while since the two teams fought for such high stakes, but now Giant fans are back in record numbers, along with a hero from 1962, Willie McCovey. At Candlestick against the Dodgers, Stretch was a hero once again with a home run in the first game of the gigantic series. California fans will tell you this rivalry is not a lot of hot air. The two clubs just love to beat each other and will bust anything to do it. Everywhere you look, Giants rob Dodgers. And Dodgers robbed Giants. Now watch pinch hitter Lee Lacy get robbed by San Francisco center fielder Larry Herndon. A bruising catch. But wait, the umpires ruled he dropped it, and Lacy raced around the bases to tie the game in the top of the ninth on what would have been the third out. Now the Giants felt robbed. As Jack Clark put it, we had to win it twice, and Darrell Evans was just the man to do it. San Francisco's jubilation for victory by the men in orange continued the next day with help from Vida Blue, who pitched a 2-1 two-hitter to push Los Angeles 4.5 games out and keep the Giants' slim lead over Cincinnati, all while becoming the major's top winner. The Dodgers needed help. They got it from rookie Bob Welch, who went all the way for his third victory without a defeat. And after Bert Hooton followed that with another win, the rivals had split, and all three Western Division contenders were crowded even closer. In fact, San Diego fans were saying, make that 4. The Padres may not have looked like a contender earlier in the year, but things have changed. Cincinnati discovered a very hot San Diego ball club, one that quickly beat the Reds for their 10th straight win, a team record. Oscar Gamble led the way at the plate with a sizzling .379 batting average during the 10-game stretch. Shortstop Ozzie Smith, a strong candidate for Rookie of the Year, also helped the streak with bat, glove, and streaking feet. On the mound, Eric Rasmussen also streaked, winning 8 in a row. But winning streaks for both Rasmussen and his team were finally ended as the Reds took the next 2 games, and for a day moved into first place. Now, back to the Volkswagen quiz. Who holds the record for most walks received in a career? The face is familiar, and so's the name, Babe Ruth. The Bambino walked 2,056 times, and that doesn't count the 714 times he walked around the bases. Next week, another Volkswagen quiz.
You sure can handle that surfboard.
Thanks.
Yeah, how come you drive a Volkswagen Rabbit?
What else is there?
Well, there are plenty of other cars.
Not for me. What?
That Rabbit is some car.
It's like the perfect wave. When one comes along, you're crazy not to take it.
Volkswagen does it again.
Impossible. America's waking up to the impossible shave. Gillette Atra, the first razor with a head that pivots to follow every contour of your face for closeness with comfort you never thought possible.
Impossible.
This Atra face-hugging action keeps twin blades at the perfect angle.
I've never shaved this close with this much comfort. It's impossible!
Gillette Atra. Yes, the impossible shave is here.
"20 years ago, the Milwaukee Braves were the class of the National League, thanks to names like Warren Spahn, Henry Aaron, and this man, Eddie Matthews, a slugger who went on to crash 512 career homers, more homers than any third baseman in baseball history. Matthews had many thrills, like this game-winning homer in the 1957 World Series. But this week, Eddie experienced a ball player's dream, being inducted into baseball's Hall of Fame. It doesn't seem so long ago when Matthews stopped a ninth-inning Yankee rally with a play at third that won Milwaukee's only world championship. Now he's a Hall of Famer, along with two earlier greats, pitcher Addie Joss, who compiled a lifetime earned run average of 1.88, and baseball executive Larry McPhail, who pioneered night baseball and modern-day broadcasting. Red Barber was also pleased to be honored along with yours truly, having received the first Ford C. Frick Award for broadcasting, which brought back many fond memories.
I don't think that I have a much older friendship than I have with Mel. We both came to New York in 1939. He was already there on the staff of CBS as a staff announcer. But in 1939, they began play-by-play broadcasting.
There were many years when Red and I, according to fans, were competitors. In a degree, I suppose we were. That is to say, he was doing the Dodger games and doing the Yankee games. Everybody thought we were Yankee fans, thought Red and I were enemies rather than competitors, you know, because a lot of fans react that way, but we were part of a profession and proud to be in it. I learned a lot from him, and proud to be his friend, and then even prouder when the opportunity came for Red to join our staff at Yankee Stadium. He had a lot of class and stature to it.
I don't know of any announcer, well, I can name two or three, who did as distinguished a job for a ball club as he did for the Yankees. He built that ball club. He created fans. And, you know, they say that Moses parted the Red Sea. In New York, we had 3 teams at that time. And you had an argument anytime you went in a bar, anytime boys got on the street corner, they argued about the Giants, they argued about the Yankees, they argued about the Dodgers, and of course, the arguments, you know, they'd argue about the broadcasters, and they argued about the whole thing. And we had 3 great center fielders in those days.
I was going to say,
right?
Yeah, right.
My goodness, and you had Willie Mays, and you had Mickey Mantle, and you had Duke Snyder, and baseball was at its peak.
From Yankee Stadium across the Brooklyn Bridge to Ebbets Field, both Red and I were fortunate to be a part of those years in New York. Years recalling a grand parade, faces and events that no one could forget, if just lucky enough to have been there. For over 25 years, Red and I saw and described just about everything that anyone who adores this marvelous game could ever hope to see. I was mighty lucky to be involved in Don Larson pitching his historic perfect game. October 8, 1956. And here's the game's last pitch to pinch hitter Dale Mitchell. As a broadcaster, that's the only time I ever stood up and cheered. A day of perfection. Few moments could ever match it, but then few things can match the magic of baseball, past or present. 10 years ago, another Yankee, then wearing a different uniform, Catfish Hunter, pitched baseball's last perfect game. He's had many exciting moments since, but few can match the drama of his recent comeback. It's been 2 years since Hunter has been right, and little more than a month since his career seemed finished.
It was my shoulder. It was kind of locking up. There was swelling getting into it, and there wasn't enough clearance between two bones in there. They got some big name for the bones of my shoulder, but there wasn't enough clearance down. It was just kind of locking up, and I couldn't go back with my arm. I was just having to start even with my body and like pushing the ball instead of reaching back and really popping it.
But this week, Catfish was able to reach back and pop the ball like the Hunter of old, pitching 17 scoreless innings and picking up 2 victories. One, a shutout over old rival Jim Palmer and the Baltimore Orioles. Jim Catfish Hunter, the recipient of this week's Gillette Special. Congratulations, Cat. Good to see you back. And that's it for this week, folks. See you next week on This Week in Baseball.
A fee paid and promotional consideration provided by Chinook. The Chinook Futura, tomorrow's motorhome today. Advanced engineering and innovative styling make this a unique motorhome. Futura by Chinook. Blistasol helps comfort hot, tired feet and aids in healing infections. Blistasol for healthy, comfortable feet. Bardol, because all additives are not created equal. Add Bardol the next time you fill your tank or change your oil. And Jorgus Games People Play Carpet Collection 1, an exciting game board for teenagers and adults. It's absolutely Jorgus.